My wife's love language is words of affirmation. My wife's love language? All right. My wife's love language is words of affirmation, which is tough for me because I struggle mightily to find the words to say how I actually feel. I also communicate love through humor, so what I actually say and do is often very different from how I feel. That's what makes it funny. And a good example of that is our 7th wedding anniversary. The military had just moved us from Hawaii to Maryland, and my wife, who's big into home decor, wants to go to the store and buy stuff to make the house our home. And I see an opportunity. I'm going to give her $200 to do that, but not with like a gift card because that's boring and not my style. I'm going to do it with the traditional 7th anniversary gift, copper. More specifically, pennies. Now, I want to take this moment to explain that I know pennies haven't been copper since like the 80s, but it's love and it's symbolic, and I need you to cut me some slack here. Also, I wasn't going to make her spend the pennies. I'm not a psycho. But it's one of those things that's going to make us laugh, that we share, and is important in a marriage. The bank teller doesn't laugh. It's a lot of work to get $200 worth of pennies together, especially when I tell him I need them unwrapped. And he's like, how are you going to carry these? Which I hadn't actually considered. The lion doesn't concern himself with logistics. So he gives me this trash bag, and I fill it with pennies, and it's big and it's strong, much like, and this is true, copper, which represents strength in your marriage. And I walk out of this bank looking like a vagabond John Dillinger, and I drive home, and it's this cold winter night, and I pull into my driveway, and when I grab the bag out of my backseat, it rips. Now, if you've never seen 20,000 pennies go everywhere, boy, it's overwhelming. And I'm scrambling around trying to corral them all up, and eventually the light switches on. My wife comes out on the porch, and she's like, the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? I'm like, happy anniversary. And I tell her what the plan was and how we got here, and we pick up 20,000 pennies together, warmed by our laughter, much like, and this is true, copper, which represents warmth in your marriage. 7 years later is the ivory anniversary. So I get $200 of illegal elephant tusk. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually remember what I got that anniversary. But what I do remember about it is that she forgot it. Find out later she's too busy texting some dude from work who apparently is much better at using his words of affirmation than I am. Not a high bar to clear. And if marriage is about looking forward with hope, divorce is about looking back with hate, and that shift in perspective changes everything. At a house party, we would tell that story, and people would laugh at the ne'er-do-well husband, but they didn't really understand it, and it didn't matter because they didn't need to. It was something that was uniquely us, and that's what matters. But in a courtroom, it's a different story. You see, she gets dragged all around the country as her selfish husband pursues his own ambitions. And then when she's trying to provide necessities for the family, he drops a trash bag of loose change at her feet and leaves her to fend for herself. Look, it was copper, right? and I'm looking around, and people don't understand. And I tell them, look, it was a joke. It was supposed to be funny. No, Will, you're a joke. You see, every other dude on this planet can love and cherish his wife, but you can't be bothered to take your marriage seriously for one goddamn night. And I'm dying because I know no one understands, and I'm trying to find the words to explain how I feel, and I get lost in my mind trying to redo everything in my life. Like, the modern 7th anniversary gift is stationery. Maybe that would have gone over better. Or maybe I could have explained that for 38 years, people only love me when I'm funny. Maybe that's why I like coming to the Moth. It's the 5 minutes a month where people actually give a fuck about me. And so, yeah, I leaned into that in our marriage because our love matters deeply to me. Or maybe I could have explained that humor helps build resiliency and it helps you get through stuff. And we've been through so much. We've been in the military, we got married too young, we had kids too young, and we've done it together. And if you give me another chance, I swear to God we can do it again. Because we're resilient. Much like copper, which represents resiliency in marriage. Guys, I wanted to find the words for so long to make things go back to the way they were, and I couldn't. And it left me with this lonely truth that for better or for worse, sometimes there's things out there that you can't change.
Just recently, the new one that opened. William Young, everyone.